Welcome to highlights of the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, brought to you by Mircoprose and GP2Joey. We head to Europe for the first time this year, and the 3.1 mile high-speed Imola circuit, 10 miles outside the beautiful city of Bologna, in what is already one of the most exciting F1 seasons. After missing out on a probable win in the first race of the year, Michael Schumacher was the dominant winner last time out at Aida, heading home Benetton teammate Heinz Harald Frentzen and pre-season favourite Ayrton Senna, who continues to struggle in the Williams-Renault. In the Drivers' Championship, it's Schumacher on top, leading Brazil winner Damon Hill by 7 points, with Senna in third ahead of Frentzen, Mika Häkkinen, Alain Prost and rookie Rubens Barrichello, whilst in 7th at Ferrari, Berger is tied with Jean Alesi in 8th on 4 points, with teammate Joey Davis yet to finish a race or score a point. In the constructors' standings, it's Benetton leading the way on 60 points ahead of Williams on 55, with the Prost-owned Ligier team in third ahead of McLaren and Jordan, whilst Ferrari languished down in 6th, a mere 4 points ahead of Minardi and Brabham in 8th. In the news leading up to the race, Senna and Williams appear to be growing frustrated with each other after a difficult start to the year, and Brabham test driver Kelvin Burt then returned home after his pre-season testing crash at Imola that had left him in a coma for 2 months. Elsewhere, reigning IndyCar champ Nigel Mansell was again in the news, declaring his future could see a return to F1, and then Davis confirmed that he would be returning to the Indy 500 at the end of May and missing the Spanish Grand Prix, which incensed Ferrari bosses, who quickly said the Briton had to fulfill his contract with them to race in Barcelona. Davis subsequently refuted this, pointing to the fact his 2-year deal with Roger Penske in America had been signed before his original deal with Ferrari. It all meant rumours started that Mansell could return to the Scuderia sooner than later, but this did nothing other than to fan the flames with Davis, who dared Ferrari to fire him, before James Hunt then publicly called on his friend to relent and abandon his plans for Indy. Friday morning's 30-minute pre-qualifying session was intense, as the 12 drivers and 6 teams all tried to break through into the race weekend qualifying, but with only 6 spots available, the pressure was on from the start. In the end, it was the Pacific Mugen Honda of Mika Salo who topped the timing screens ahead of David Coulthard in the Simtek and Bertrand Gachot, who continues to outperform in the LaRousse, whilst teammate Philippe Alliot languished again at the foot of the classification. It all meant that Andretti, who had the fastest average time, would progress, joined by Simtek and Pacific, whilst their rivals unfortunately were forced to head home early, their race weekend over. Friday afternoon's first qualifying session was dramatic around the sweeping curves of Imola, as Schumacher struggled in the Benetton and Davis continued with an unbalanced Ferrari. Then, 36 minutes into the session, the Jordan of Barrichello crashed heavily at the Variante Bassa chicane near the pits, bringing out the red flags. The Brazilian rookie was treated at the scene before being taken to the infield medical centre, where countryman Senna went to visit him to make sure he was okay. The session resumed 30 minutes later, and the defending champion was out to prove a point by going even quicker than he had earlier in the session before the crash, and duly went on to claim provisional pole ahead of Berger, Prost, Alesi and Frentzen, while Schumacher and Davis languished in 11th and 14th respectively. Afterwards, Senna was only interested in the well-being of Barrichello and not his performance, whilst Berger admitted finishing as runner-up was a mystery both for himself and Ferrari, and Prost admitted concern at the half-a-second gap to Senna and his chances of winning on Sunday. Later on came news that Barrichello had indeed been cleared to continue racing, and Davis aimed his frustration at Ferrari once more, electing to spend Saturday focusing on his race day setup. Saturday's second qualifying session got underway with Davis improving in the Ferrari by half a second, but the Briton was focused on his race day setup anyway, as Schumacher finally found one he was happy with in the Benetton, going second fastest behind Senna early on. 18 minutes into the session, however, the red flags came out after Roland Ratzenberger lost control of his Simtek at 195 miles an hour and inexplicably left the circuit at the Villeneuve kink and slammed into the concrete wall lining the track. The Austrian was quickly tended to at the circuit by F1 doctor Professor Sid Watkins and his medical team before being airlifted to the Maggiore Hospital in Bologna. Whilst the crash site was cleared up and the drivers and onlookers waited for news on Ratzenberger's condition, Senna commandeered a course car and went to the scene of the incident to discuss things with his good friend Watkins. 43 minutes later, the session resumed, and immediately Senna went even quicker, going on to claim his first pole of the year by over 0.3 of a second, ahead of Schumacher, Berger, Prost and Alesi in 5th, whilst Davis ended up 10th. Afterwards, there were no thoughts other than the condition of Ratzenberger as the paddock waited for news, with Senna visibly concerned, and Schumacher questioned if the race should even go ahead, whilst Berger was equally worried about his Austrian countryman and confirmed the Grand Prix Drivers' Association would be meeting in the morning to discuss the developing situation. Sadly though, an hour after qualifying had ended, came the tragic news that 31-year-old Roland Ratzenberger, driver of the number 32 Simtek Ford, had passed away. Later in the afternoon, a distraught Senna admitted he might not race and that he would talk to his Williams team and others that night before making a decision. The next morning, all the drivers gathered with F1 Supremo Bernie Ecclestone, and despite talks over the race possibly being cancelled, it was felt that to honour their fallen driver, they would indeed all take to the grid come 2 p.m. on Sunday. So it's Ayrton Senna on the pole with Michael Schumacher in second. It's Gerhard Berger and Alain Prost on row 2. Row 3 is Jean Alesi and Heinz Harald Frentzen. Row 4 is Damon Hill and Mika Häkkinen. Row 5 is Carl Wendlinger and Joey Davis. Row 6 is JJ Leto and Bernd Schneider. Row 7 is Johnny Herbert and Olivier Panis. Row 8 is Martin Brundle and Jos Verstappen. Row 9 is Eddie Irvine and Rubens Barrichello. Row 10 is Mika Sala and Derek Warwick. Row 11 is Ukio Katayama and Michele Alboreto. Row 12 is the sole Simtek of David Coulthard and Christian Fittipaldi. And at the back is the 2 Andrettis of Michael Andretti and Gilles de Ferran. After the tragic events of yesterday, we can only hope for a safe race as the red lights come on, the engine revs rise, and the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix is go! Senna's away well from the pole position, but Schumacher drops down to third as Berger goes second in the Ferrari. Alesi moves into third as Schumacher now drops into fourth, and that becomes fifth as Damon Hill goes fourth. So Schumacher from second to third to fourth to fifth, just away from the line. Wendlinger is up into sixth place and he's attacking Schumacher. As they come down under braking for Tosa, it's Senna ahead of Berger. And look in the background, that's the Sauber, that's Wendlinger. Carl Wendlinger has gone through, he's up into third. From ninth on the grid, a sensational start from the Austrian, with Senna in the lead on the run up to Birotella. Through the middle of the corner they go. He's got Gerhard Berger all over the gearbox of his Williams-Renault. Wendlinger, fantastic start up into third place. Yes, a quite sensational start there from Carl Wendlinger. There's Jean Alesi in fourth, it's Damon Hill fifth. JJ Leto in the other Sauber is up into sixth place, with Michael Schumacher dropping from second down into seventh. So a quite appalling start from the young German there, with Alain Prost also dropping back into eighth position. Frentzen dropping a couple of positions as Berger looks to go through at Rivazza. And he can't get through Senna. Senna's got through there, but Davis has had a messy lap, we understand, in the Ferrari. He's only 10th, having started 10th. Everybody else seems to have gained positions or lost them, except for the 1991 world champion. As Senna comes through the crash side of Barrichello's accident on Friday, and he comes out of the final right-hander, and he's across the line for the first time. And what's the gap? As Senna takes the lead, across the line he goes, and it's just under half a second from Gerhard Berger, with Jean Alesi in third. But let's have a look at the start from Davis. Yes, it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens to Davis there. You can see he really bogged down in first gear there, and he just has to feather out of the throttle for fear of colliding with one of the two Tyrrells there of Bernd Schneider or Johnny Herbert, and my goodness me, that was very close there with the right rear of Schneider. But Davis should be able to get the run onto Herbert here as they go through into the Villeneuve corner. He's got to be very, very careful under the brakes here, because this is where it's very easy to lose a front or a rear wing. But Davis opts to go around the outside of Herbert there, and he gets balked a little bit by Häkkinen. And now the action is right the way through the middle of the field as Prost looks to try and go through, and Schumacher gets through on Wendlinger, and Davis passes JJ Leto on the inside. So Davis is up. He's up into 8th position now on lap 4 as Prost looks to try and go through Wendinger, and he can't do it. And across the line yet again it's Senna, but still Berger as Davis tries to go through. He tries to pass Karl Wendinger. Sorry, that's Heinz Harald Frentzen. No, that's Michael Schumacher. It's Schumacher, so Davis already. He's up into 6th position, and we haven't seen his passes on the other competitors as Davis looks to try and go around the outside. Yes, and that looks like one of the Ligiers has blown up. That's Prost! Prost has blown up. No, that's Jean Alesi. He's ahead of Alain Prost. Alesi blowing up. He's going to retire from the Grand Prix as we see Senna. And he's still got Gerhard Berger all over his gearbox as we ride on board with Heinz Harald Frentzen. And Benetton are very much struggling. And there's Alesi. So Alesi with smoke billowing out of the back of his Ligier as Davis just about manages to get through. And so does Schumacher without colliding with the young Frenchman. But he pulls over and he is out of the race. And yet again another retirement as his team leader Alain Prost goes through, and Wendinger, Frentzen, Leto, Hakkinen, they all go through. But Senna's lead is only 0.3 of a second from Gerhard Berger, and heartbreak for Jordan because Rubens Barrichello is out. He's out at Piratella as well. Yes, quite sensational there as we see Davis now on the back of Damon Hill as they're running up through the Tamburello curve. Davis is very much going to try and get through to see if he can get underneath him into Tosa. But can he do it? Damon Hill pulls across and he hits him. He hits Davis. My goodness me. Hill, Davis, they collide. Davis has lost the left front part of his front wing. And has Damon Hill got a puncture? We're going to have to see because Davis is desperately trying to stay with him. Yes, but he's not going to be able to. He's going to have to get out of the throttle here. He hasn't got the downforce, so you can see there that Davis just had to pull away as Alboreto and Michael Andretti both battling over 22nd position. So there's battles right the way through the field, and this is absolutely scintillating stuff. This really is era-defining Grand Prix racing, which is what we want to see after the tragic events of yesterday as we ride on board now with Ayrton Senna, who's still only just got a lead as Davis comes into the pits. So Davis is in to repair the front wing. He's going to have to get a new set of tyres, and that's going to play havoc with his three-race strategy because he now means his two-race strategy. Because he's now going to have to stop at least 3 times. Well, I'm sure the Ferrari will make it work for him as Berger looks to try and make the move on Senna, but he can't get quite through there with Gilles de Ferran now hounding his teammate and Michele Alboreto in the Minardi. This is fantastic stuff to see the young Brazilian battling there as JJ Leto and his teammate Karl Wendinger battling. There's battles right the way through the field. This is absolutely fantastic racing. But Berger, look at Gerhard Berger, the gap now. It's only 0.4 of a second, but Derek Warwick, he's slowing in the Brabham. Warwick is going to be out. He's out of the Grand Prix. As we ride on board with Davis now, down towards the Piratella. He's going to try and outbrake later, but he can't get the car stopped and he hits him. My goodness me. Davis just runs into the back. So not only did he lose the left front, he's now lost the right front. And there goes Berger on the inside of Senna. And listen to the Tifosi, they go mad. As Berger takes the lead on lap 16 from Ayrton Senna. Fantastic stuff as the whole of Imola erupts. The Austrian goes into the lead after what happened to his countryman Roland Ratzenberger yesterday in final qualifying. An Austrian leads the San Marino Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff, but Davis, he's had to come into the pits again. Quite unbelievable. I'm not sure if there was some sort of a braking issue there for Davis because it certainly looked as though he hit the marks okay when I was watching him, but he just didn't seem to get the front end stopped in time and just creamed into the back of JJ Leto. And hopefully the young Finnish driver won't have any problems with his car as we see the sole Simtech of David Coulthard, the Scottish rookie there, going through a scintillating job by him and the team after what happened yesterday. To see them racing today, regardless of where they finish, as Hakkinen comes into the pits, has been a sensational turnaround for them, as Eddie Irvine is also into the pits in the sole remaining Jordan, as we watch Gerhard Berger going through now on the approach towards the Rivazza, and we're on board now with Michele Alboreto trying to get past his teammate, but he can't get through. Yes, he does, so Alboreto moves up, and we see Senna going through as Hill comes into the pits for the first time. Damon Hill is into the pits in the second Williams, with Senna 2.6 seconds behind Gerhard Berger. But we think that Senna is on a one-stop strategy, whilst Berger, Hill and Schumacher are all on 2, or maybe even 3 as Hakkinen's trying to get past one of the arrows and he can't get through there. That's actually one of the footwork arrows there. And he's got JJ Leto for close company as one of the Ferraris comes into the pits. I didn't quite see who it was. but I think it was Gerhard Berger, and it is. And Gerhard Berger comes into the pits on the 24th lap as we see the Andretti Chevrolet of Gilles de Ferran going through there. And Davis is on the cabs, and he spin the Ferrari. Davis, fantastic recovery, but he lost it on the exit of Rivazza, and he's going through the Variante Alta Bassa. He is having an absolute nightmare of a Grand Prix. He won last year's race as de Ferran pulls over. He's going to retire, he's got flames billowing out of the back of his Chevrolet, but Davis was last year's winner, and he's not going to win today because Senna is across the line yet again for the 27th time, and the gap to Gerhard Berger, it's 13.8 seconds. With Michael Schumacher now up into third position, it's Heinz Harald Frentzen in the second, Benetton in fourth, with Damon Hill fifth, and Mika Salo is trying to go through on the inside of Michael Andretti there. Fantastic to see the Pacific and the Andretti squad squabbling over position right the way through the field, with Jos Verstappen in 10th, and it's Joey Davis in 9th, with Herbert in 8th, it's Wendlinger in 7th, and it's Alain Prost in 6th, as we see Michael Schumacher going across the line in 3rd place. But can he do anything about closing the gap to Gerhard Berger? It's just over 6 seconds in front, but Ayrton Senna is very calmly in the lead, and he will only be stopping once, and he's into the pits. So Senna is in for his one pit stop. He's going to be taking on the fuel. He's going to be changing all 4 tyres. But where is he going to emerge? Is Gerhard Berger going to re-inherit the lead as Herbert comes under attack from Davis? As they run up towards the Paratella, Davis is going to try and take it around the outside, but Herbert just cuts him off. Fantastic stuff. And Gerhard Berger has emerged into the lead. So Senna got held up slightly in the pit lane as Michael Schumacher is into the pits. As we ride back on board now with Joey Davis, Schumacher's into the pits, with Davis desperately trying to find a way past Johnny Herbert in his recovery drive in 8th position now. But Johnny Herbert is very well defending there from the 91 world champion, and I don't think there's anything that Davis can do as Senna looks to go on the inside of Jos Verstappen as he just about manages to get the car stopped in time. Verstappen didn't make that easy for Ayrton Senna, certainly not, but Senna is trying to calmly close down the gap to this man Gerhard Berger, because he's 8.8 seconds in the lead as Damon Hill goes through in 3rd position ahead of Christian Fittipaldi in 17th. And Schumacher is into 5th position with Prost yet to stop again, and so is Damon Hill in 3rd. Well, what's going to be the outcome once they have all finished stopping? It's Gerhard Berger. He's 8.4 seconds in the lead over Senna. Hill's 3rd, it's Prost in 4th. Schumacher is chasing him down. It's only 4 seconds, it's Frentzen in 6th. Davis has got past as Johnny Herbert. Something's happened to Herbert. Yes, we've heard that Johnny Herbert has actually had an moment. He's gone off the circuit somewhere, down at Rivazza, we think. As Hakkinen is into 8th position, it's JJ Leto in 9th, and Martin Brundle is 10th. And I'm not sure what's happened to Carl Wendlinger, because Wendlinger was very well performing, and we're hearing Wendlinger's had a misfire in the Mercedes-powered Sauber, so he's been delayed in the pits, and that's why he's dropped further back. As Senna crosses the line, and it's 8.7 seconds now to Gerhard Berger. But is Hill going to be able to close the gap? Look at the difference. Berger, we're not even sure, he's not even sure, and neither are Ferrari where the speed has come from this weekend, as Damon Hill comes into the pits from 3rd position. But Berger has performed gallantly today, and he's certainly giving Ayrton Senna a run for his money, and it's certainly possible that although he's got to stop once more, with Senna not stopping again, that Gerhard Berger could potentially close up the gap, and he comes into the pits. He could close the gap to Senna. Yes, well, I think that's going to be quite a difficult opportunity for him there, as Senna comes out of the final corner, and he's across the line. He's going to take the lead, and across he goes. So Gerhard Berger drops into 2nd position, with Alain Prost now up into 3rd. He's going to have to stop again, and Schumacher is probably going to go into 3rd position, with Heinz Harald Frentzen 5th. But Ayrton Senna, he's 10.7 seconds to the good over Gerhard Berger, but with only 18 laps to go, it's certainly possible that just maybe we could see a fairy tale victory for one of the Ferraris as Alain Prost comes into the pits. Could Gerhard Berger, with 10.7 seconds to close up on Ayrton Senna, could he just possibly fulfill the dreams, the hopes and dreams of all the Tifosi, and actually close the gap on Senna, and maybe even win the San Marino Grand Prix? Fantastic stuff! As JJ Leto moves up into 10th position, and Herbert goes 9th, it's Hakkinen 8th, and Joey Davis is in 7th position, desperately trying to close the gap to Alain Prost, but I'm sure it's too much for the Briton to even close up the 4-time world champion, as we see Michael Schumacher on the approach to Paratella. He goes through, And Michael Schumacher, what on earth has happened to Benetton this weekend? Well, nobody's actually quite sure there, as we see Gerhard Berger now. The gap has gone actually out now to 11.6 seconds to Ayrton Senna, so he's losing time with Schumacher getting bogged there, and I think that's Jos Verstappen. And Verstappen is going to pull over. It's a double DNF for Brabham after a successful race last time out in the Pacific Grand Prix, where Derek Warwick finished 10th and got 1 point. They have now got both cars out of the Grand Prix, which is such a terrible shame for them. As Senna goes through, the gap is now down to 9.2 seconds. Senna is coasting. We think he may very well be hiding a gearbox problem in the Williams, we're hearing. But he's 8.9 seconds and Berger. Gerhard Berger is catching him with Schumacher. Schumacher behind Karl Wendinger in 12th position. What absolutely started as a fantastic Grand Prix for Wendinger has turned into a nightmare. He was into 3rd from 9th on the grid. He's now dropped to 12th position. He's going to be out of the points. And this is Davis going underneath Mika Häkkinen. No, that's Gerhard Berger. Gerhard Berger goes through and he's got the gap down now to 6.4 seconds to Ayrton Senna. And he's really gaining on him. Fantastic stuff. But Schumacher's 28.3 seconds further back. And Hill's 35.7. Prost is out of the running. Frentzen is out of the running. Davis is most certainly out of the running as we carry on board with Gerhard Berger. The gap is 6.2. What's it going to be? It's 4.4 with Ayrton Senna now on the approach down towards Ravazza. Yes, it's now gone down to 4.4 and Davis is into the pits. We're hearing Davis has had a puncture in the Ferrari. My goodness me. He's having an absolute nightmare of a Grand Prix, but potentially he could get a bonus point because he's going to be on fresh rubber whilst his rivals are all on worn tyres. Gerhard Berger, he's got the gap down to 4.2 seconds, but Davis, his teammate, is going to emerge from the pit lane. But is he going to be lapped by Ayrton Senna? This is going to be a sensational finish. Gerhard Berger will definitely be trying all he can to close the gap. And is he going to be able to do it now? With 7 laps to go, it's Senna ahead. And is that Berger? That's Berger! No, that's Davis. Davis is letting Ayrton Senna go through there. So Davis just locks up his tyres. Davis just very calmly. He's playing it wisely. He knows he doesn't want to interfere in the back and for the front because he's got 2 very good friends of his that are battling for the lead. With Gerhard Berger closing the gap now, it's only 3.8 seconds. Davis has got his sights set on the fastest lap. He's not going to get many points, but he wants that fastest lap and the bonus point that goes with it. As Gerhard Berger goes through. No, that was Davis, so apologies there. That's Joey Davis going through there. The Minardi. But Gerhard Berger! Berger is closing the gap. It's 3.9 seconds. Is he going to be able to close it? Davis, I'm pretty sure if Davis manages to get close enough, Gerhard Berger will not find any mobile chicanes from his teammate as Hill goes through on the back markers. Hill goes through. Johnny Herbert has a look at it, but Damon Hill is through in 4th. It's Prost 5th. It's Frentzen 6th. Davis is still in 7th as we ride on board with Martin Brundle. It's Häkkinen 8th. Herbert is 9th. He's 10th. And JJ Leto is 9th. But where is the gap? It's Senna. It's Berger. The gap is 4.2 seconds as we ride on board with it's Ayrton Senna now. And he's on the final lap. He goes through the right. He's through the left. And he's on the approach down to the Ravazza as Davis smashes the lap record. He gets the fastest lap. And Senna comes through to Ravazza. This has been an absolutely phenomenal performance from both Ayrton Senna and Gerhard Berger. And I'm pretty sure that Roland Ratzenberger would be quite delighted to see the outcome of this Grand Prix. A phenomenal performance from the both of them. As Senna comes through the final chicane, he's through the left, he's through the right, and Ayrton Senna crosses the line to win the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix in terrific style, with Austrian Gerhard Berger taking 2nd. The emotion around Imola has just been raised to the heavens as Michael Schumacher crosses the line in the Benetton. But it's Ayrton Senna who takes an emotional win. First win of the season. Fantastic drive. There can be no doubt that Senna's emphatic first win of the year was a much needed one for the defending world champion, and it delivered beams of sunshine breaking through the tragic dark clouds that had descended over Imola this weekend. To have his good friend Berger running in close in the Ferrari was fantastic for all the vocal Ferrari fans, while Schumacher claimed a distant 3rd ahead of Hill, Prost and Frentzen in 6th. After a nightmare race, Davis had fought back to a gallant 7th ahead of the final points-paying positions for Häkkinen, Leto and Herbert, both of whom scored points for the first time this year for Sauber and Tyrrell respectively in a race that saw 18 classified finishers, whilst the fastest lap went to Davis, who also earned himself the bonus point, taking his haul to 5 for the weekend. On the podium, an emotional Senna celebrated with Berger and dedicated his win to Ratzenberger, whilst the second place Berger admitted he was sad at not being able to get the win for himself, but praised Senna for the victory, whilst a frustrated Schumacher lamented poor strategy from his team and a difficult car. Elsewhere, Lauda hailed Senna's cool-down lap as the Brazilian held aloft the Austrian flag in tribute to Ratzenberger, and Davis admitted relief at finally scoring some points on a weekend where he seemed drawn to collisions and incidents. In the Drivers' Championship, Senna's first win of the year sees him go top, 1 point ahead of Schumacher, while Hill, Frentzen and Prost remain in 3rd, 4th and 5th respectively, and Berger moves into equal 6th on 19 points with Häkkinen, as Davis' 7th and fastest lap see him tie with Barrichello on 5 points in 7th place. In the Constructors' standings, with 86 points, Williams reclaimed top spot from Benetton, with Ligier Prost a further 51 points further back in 3rd, whilst Ferrari move ahead of McLaren to go 4th, and Tyrrell become the 10th team to score a point, tied in 8th with Brabham. Next up, we head to Monte Carlo, where the confines of the street track punish anyone who makes a mistake around the 1.9 mile circuit. Sadly, the drivers will be without one of their own in 2 weeks' time. But as the clouds of tragedy begin to recede, everyone leaves Imola knowing that undoubted safety changes are coming from the sports governing body, the FIA. It promises to be another dramatic race, but for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for the 4th round of the 1994 Formula 1 World Championship and the Monaco Grand Prix.